The success of free agency for the Eagles has opened the door for them to go out in the draft and shock the world. Dallas still stinks. Yo, by the way, Dingbat here, and we are 1 month away from the draft. And if you look up the word jealous, you'll see a giant picture of Mark Holmes and the Dallas Cowboys, because they are absolutely 1,000% envious of the Philadelphia Eagles. Every video he does, he's got to bring up the Eagles. He can't understand why the Eagles have $31 million in cap space. I do, because we got a GM that calculates the calculation of the cornbread, man. That's why. And because the Eagles had such a great free agency, we are sitting really pretty heading into this draft. I mean, I don't think we're going in saying, all right, no matter what in the first round, we have to take this position. We've got to take this position. We have several different ways that we can go while still addressing what we need to address overall, and that is to get young defensive players that can play right away. But this team can go in multiple directions because partly the free agency was such a successful time. Now, before we get into all of it, the Eagles did lose a guy who has helped Howie Roseman with the salary cap. How big of an effect will this have on the Eagles? I don't know. But here's what John Clark wrote. The Eagles are losing a key member of their front office who worked very closely with GM Howie Roseman. Jake Rosenberg tells @Jeff McClain he is leaving the Eagles to pursue growth in the NFL, and he would like to be a general manager. Jake has been very important working on the salary cap and helping to structure contracts in a way that really helped the Eagles. So it sounds like, and I don't know that I think this is going to hurt the Eagles necessarily, the way we do things or how successful we've been in contracts, in free agency, in trades. I don't think any of that will change having Howie Roseman. But clearly, here's a man that has studied underneath Howie Roseman and is getting ready to go about his way and try to, be a GM in the NFL. So I wish him nothing but luck. And if the Dallas Cowboys were smart, they would go out and get him. Because the one thing the Cowboys can't do, well, there's a lot of things that they can't do. They definitely can't win a playoff game. But they can't manage their cap well. I mean, how do you get stuck in a position like they are? It just makes no sense. So hopefully he doesn't go to the Cowboys. Other than that, I wish him nothing but success. But, he's another guy that is leaving the Philadelphia Eagles. And just a quick reminder, I talked about this in the last video, but the Eagles are currently sitting at $31.3 million in cap space. $31 million in cap space. That is incredible. And they don't need to go out and necessarily use it all. They don't. There's no need to. I would like to see them make one more significant signing on defense. I think a safety would be my choice. But, the Eagles got plenty of money. Maybe they decide, hey, let's get Devontae Smith locked up now. I would not mind that at all either. But this team is really in a great situation heading into this draft and where we are. And there's still some big shoes have to drop. Now, I think the Haason Reddick situation, I think we got to watch that play itself out. But if they can somehow keep Reddick, give him, I don't know. I don't see why you can't figure out a way to say, listen, we're not going to sign you to $25 million a year. But you know what? We'll take the last year of your deal. We'll restructure it. We'll give you some extra money, and you go out there and have a great year, and then go get yourself a big contract in free agency next year. I don't see what's wrong with doing that. He'll be happy to play that 1 year out. He'll get a little more money, and then go. The only way this whole thing could be working out, and maybe people aren't seeing it, is maybe by the fact that nothing has happened with Haason Reddick yet at all. I mean, nothing has happened with Haason Reddick. Maybe the fact that it hasn't, maybe that is a big sign to Haason Reddick, to his agent, that nobody wants to give you that kind of money at your age. And nobody's going to do that while giving the Eagles a second-round pick. So maybe that will make Reddick come down in price a little bit, and maybe somehow the Eagles can work out an extension with him. I think Reddick can give you another 2 really, really good years. I do. So, get a 2-year extension. But if not, make him happy 1 year and then play him. I really think that the Haason Reddick thing is a key thing, because to me, the way I see their their pass rush right now, I think it's nasty. I think it's really, really good. But I think a lot of that has to do with Haason Reddick being there. So we'll see. That's really, to me, that's the big cliffhanger hanging over everybody's head right now. It's going to be interesting. One thing that I think is going to also be interesting is there's a lot of talk now, and there were some articles talking about the kickoff return. Because with the rule changes, you really now need a kickoff returner. You need somebody that can return kicks. Now, Isaiah Rodgers has done it before, and he's done it successfully. Will they want to use him in that position? I don't know. But the Eagles are going to have to do something at the kickoff return. The Eagles only returned 13 kicks all year last year because all of it was going out into the end zone. And that's what I mean, man. Like, a lot of people don't like the new rule, and I definitely don't care for it, but I like it better than what they were doing the last few years, where everything's a touchback. I hate that. So at least this will have a little more action. It should be interesting, but the Eagles are going to have to address and try to upgrade their kickoff return unit. They need a returner. Will they go and try to get somebody in the draft? Do they look at Isaiah Rodgers as the guy? Do they bring Devin Allen back and finally give him a chance? It's going to be interesting. I love it. I love this team. I love where we're going. And now, really, this draft night is going to be crucial for us. And that first round pick is going to be crucial. And I talked in the last video, we talked about the Eagles possibly drafting Brock Bowers or a wide receiver. What if, now just hear me out, I was thinking about this. What if the pick for the Eagles isn't a wide receiver, a defensive lineman, an offensive tackle, a cornerback? What if it isn't any of those positions? What if the pick that the Eagles should make is actually an interior lineman? I'm talking about a center. What if the Eagles took, in the first round, Jackson Powers Johnson? I know there would be a lot of people pissed off, like, what the hell are we doing? Why are we doing this? But when you consider how big he is, all right, he's 6'3", 328. He's a monster, okay? And you think about him coming in and playing and starting at center right away. Just think about the size and the strength of the left side of your line, right? Starting from your center to Landon Dickerson to Jordan Mailata. Now you can keep Cam Jurgens right at right guard and let him just go and start there and continue to play. And then you have Lane Johnson. Now you're going to have to make a pick at some point for Lane Johnson. You're going to have to replace him, and you probably have a few years probably in which you can do it. But here's the thing. I look at some of these mock drafts, and here's one example. They got 5 offensive tackles. Sometimes I've seen where they've had 6 offensive tackles coming off the board before the Eagles even pick. So you're going to get there and you're going to pick what? The 6th best offensive tackle? I don't know. To me, why not take the best interior offensive lineman? Why not take a guy who can come in and start? And the big X factor with drafting a guy like this, it's Stoutland. Let Stoutland work with Jackson Powers Johnson, and let's see what he can do. Now, here at the NFL Combine, they did a little overview on him. I'm gonna read what it says about him for those that don't know much about him. But here's what they say: he's broadly built center prospect with below average length but above average upper body power. Powers Johnson isn't much of a knee bender, which impacts his pad level and drive leverage. That can affect the tush push, no doubt. But he can torque and toss opponents around with some regularity at the point. Powers Johnson is a fierce competitor with a salty disposition, but needs to improve his first phase technique to create more consistent blocks. Despite average athleticism, he doesn't seem to have many issues in pass protection, as he works with clear eyes, a wide base, and good discipline to keep his weight back. His rookie season could be bumpy if he has to play early, but he should come out on the other side as a long-time starter. And one of the strengths they had for him, and I love this, is he plays with a rugged disdain attitude towards opponents. He hates his opponents. I love guys that hate their opponents. Landon Dickerson has that too. So to me, you can never have too much of the attitude. Now, he does have some weaknesses. He's considered a first-round talent, and he does have weaknesses. But the thing is, all his weaknesses, it seem like they're based upon technique, leverage, and the one guy you want to teach you those things is Stoutland. So let's say you get this kid, and you draft him at center. Now, I'm not saying this is what I would do. This is just me thinking about guys that we haven't talked about outside the box that could be an interesting pick for the Eagles. Maybe not the most popular by the fans, but I think a pick like this would be a pick that many fans probably wouldn't like at first. But in about 2-3 years, everybody would be going, what a great pick. What a great pick. And the fact that Stoutland, see, the way I see it is if Stoutland can take these guys who are average, below average, make them starters, make them Pro Bowlers, then you take a guy with this guy's talent, this guy's natural size and strength, and you let him learn under Stoutland, he turns him into a perennial All-Pro. Okay? Now, I have questions about him. Could he play guard? Is he a guy that could play both center and guard? And maybe you keep Cam Jurgens at center and you put Jackson right next to Lane Johnson? Maybe. But see, I don't mind drafting an offensive lineman. I don't. And I don't mind drafting an interior offensive lineman, because the way I'm looking at this draft is not just for this year, but when it does come to this year, I want guys that are going to play right away. I don't want all my picks sitting on the bench. I want them playing. I want them playing because what this is going to do is it's going to buy us time to free up cap space so the next few years we can get the important signings that we need. I think this is a very interesting idea. Drafting an interior guy, a center, even though you got Cam Jurgens to play center. Hey, you also got Landon Dickerson to play center, and you traded and you moved him over to guard, and you didn't move him. Keep Jurgens at right guard. Put this kid in at center. Let him learn. Let Stoutland work with him. And your offensive line, especially that left side of the line, is big and nasty for years to come. Listen, I'm not saying the Eagles are going to do this. I'm not saying it's going to happen. But I'm saying it's something that we should consider, because make your strengths stronger. You add another offensive lineman, somebody that can start. And this is why I don't mind drafting an offensive tackle. But the problem is, if let's say you draft a right tackle, he's going to sit for 2 years. Any right tackle you draft in the first round will sit for 2 years because Lane Johnson's there. This kid would play right away. And I think it would shock the world. And I actually think this kid's going to be really, really good. And with him working with Stoutland, I believe you have yourself a perennial All-Pro. And once again, for years to come, the Eagles' offensive line will be dominant. With that said, take care. I will talk to you later, of course. And don't be a dingbat. Remember, it's Howie Vision. We're all just living in it. Mark Holmes is losing it. He is losing it. I mean, he's got these videos. Dak Prescott being walked back. Cowboys become the joke of the NFL. Micah Parsons gets called out. Dak Prescott done in Dallas. The more depressed I've ever been as a Cowboy fan. Dak Prescott and the Cowboys set to part ways. Oh, man. This is great. This is great, man. This is making the offseason go by so much quicker. I love watching Cowboys misery. It's a beautiful thing. Denzel Washington out.